So, just to introduce myself quickly, I'm Kelsea Green, speech pathologist and orofacial myologist. I'm here today with Myo Munchee to kick off our 2026 Parent Instagram Live sessions. So, I'm joined today by Cole Clayton, registered osteopath and co-founder of the Quantum Kid, a pioneering business that utilises cranial osteopathy, anyway, stumble on that one, and functional dentistry to unlock nature's blueprint for happier and healthier kids. I just love what you guys do. So welcome, Cole. Our topic today is when oral function dysfunction doesn't go, I'm going to start that again, is when oral dysfunction goes untreated. But first, for people that don't know you or much about the Quantum Kid, can you go through what the Quantum Kid specialises in and how your work as an osteo connects with children's breathing, development and regulation?
Yeah, we can go through all that.
Yeah.
But first, I wanted to acknowledge you for quoting our Quantum Kid mission, which is unlocking nature's blueprint to happier, healthier kids. And that one, it sounds like a good line that's printed on, because if we go into this, it'll explain what Quantum Kid is very eloquently. So it sounds like a nice little tagline to write on the door when it is written on our door. But actually it has a very fundamental and very deep meaning and purpose. And that is that every single person, every single child that's born has an inherent capacity for healing. Okay, so if you have a little cut on your arm or something, you're out in the garden and something scratches you, like you don't sit there going, oh wow, how am I going to fix this? Or I'm going to need this cream and I'll take 15 Panadols and then it should, it's like you just go, oh damn, do I need a Band-Aid? No, and you forget about it. But there's like this insane cascade of events that happens histologically at that micro level, fibrinogen and fibers start weaving in and all this. Like I could write a detailed list of all these things, and that's before you've digested breakfast and assimilated breakfast and used a million different chemical reactions to create hormones. And so the body's got this literally quantum ability to self-regulate, so that you and I can sit here and debate about mouth breathing over the internet. And it's like, while that's happening in every single person that's watching and will watch, and in yours and mine, there's miracles occurring, right? And so every one of us has an inherent capacity to heal. And that inherent capacity to heal is governed by natural laws, okay? So natural law is things like when the sun comes up, it triggers the birds to wake up, and the bird song triggers flowers to open. Did you know that? Flowers respond to sound stimulus. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, right.
It's insane, as well as light stimulus, but also so there's this integration with nature and natural law that we also take for advantage. And that's actually how things like medical drugs work. They actually use our body's inherent capacity to heal and give it a different input to change the output, and it often works because we're using natural principle. So what's that got to do with the Quantum Kid, and what's that got to do with mouth breathing and all that stuff? What the Quantum Kid does is we are mindful, because it's an osteopathic philosophy as much as anything else, especially in cranial osteopathy, that there's an inherent capacity for the body to heal. Chiropractors are based on a similar or the same premise, just a different window to that premise. But what we do is we harness the body's natural healing capacity, and we use natural law to grow and develop optimally. So what we really are, in one sense, is like we're biohackers in a way. We created a system that allows our kids that we treat to harness and not accelerate but amplify that healing capacity. And so that means we don't use man-made law. So for example, a rapid expander, for example, would be using a man-made principle, or let's even go further, like retraction orthodontics is a man-made principle, because the principle of natural law is that craniofacial growth goes from the back to the front.
Yeah.
And once we've grown a little bit, guess what we do? We drop some molars in and they act as bookends and they hold the place. And then we grow a little bit more. It comes from the back. But retraction orthodontics goes from the front to the back and pulls back. That's opposing natural law. That's opposing the body's inherent wisdom. So what we're doing is we're using natural law, which uses the principles of cranial osteopathy, and we're combining that with dental appliances, and we're combining that with understanding that how certain presentations in the mouth, i.e. the teeth, actually give us an indication of what's going on in the skull. Because the balance of the skull is critical to the balance of the face, and that's something we'll probably talk about a lot today. So basically, Quantum Kid, founded by Jalal and myself, and I'll tell you a little bit about me in a second, is essentially inverting the paradigm of even airway functional dentistry. So I have, I mean, you know this, Mary knows this, but people watching might not. I once met a dentist about 16, 17 years ago, and he sort of changed my paradigm on life and the world. He was a great character. He's since died. His name was Tony Ansell, and he introduced me to the world of what is now functional dentistry, but he was a pioneer, Tony. He was well before his time, just like Mary's dad, Kevin, and they knew each other actually, and founded an organisation together, funnily enough, but I didn't know Mary at that time. So Tony introduced me to this whole world. You know, some of the founders of the whole, you know, scene, like Sandra Coulson, for example, like you know, other dentists and sort of think tanks at the time. Skip Truitt, I even went to his, you know, conference in Texas, and so I was exposed to a lot of this stuff. And in my search for truth, which is my sort of MO, it's like I don't give up until I've found what resonates with me as truth. And at that point, I just kept searching, and then I met an osteopath, and then I started to understand the cranial approach, and then I was like, well, this is what's missing with dentistry. And so then the only way that I could possibly be realistic about this was to become a damn osteopath. And I sat with a mentor who's actually since passed away as well. And he said, well, is there a shortcut to this? And I was like, not really, Jace. And he's like, well, you better get started. And I was 38, so I was like, damn it. And I was like, if I'm sitting here at 42, 43 and I haven't done it, and I was going, oh, I could have done that. I'm just like, I can't live with myself anymore. So I literally opened the computer and off I went down 5 years of torture. And in that 5 years, I was blessed to have met Mary Munchee, and Mary said, oh, I'm thinking about relaunching Munchee. And long story short, the whole time I was at uni, I was working with Munchee and doing a whole bunch of stuff, because Mary knew I had the interface between manual therapy and dentistry. And so that's my jam, is like, I understand dentistry pretty well. No, I'm not a dentist. And I understand cranial osteopathy, just starting to, after sort of 7 years of practicing it and learning it. And I travel to America once a year and I learn off the key expert teachers in America. And Jalal and I sat down one day and tried a few patients, and those patients, a lot of them, 3 or 4 of them, went to what we call still point, which is a very deep state of activating the body's ability to heal. I said, there might be something in this, JK. So we launched a business at September 23, the Quantum Kid. And the Quantum Kid has grown in the last 2 and a bit years to be like a multidisciplinary 10, like we got about 5 to 7, I can't remember the exact number right now, clinical staff, and we got about 12 staff all up. So it's grown to be 2 locations. We're just about to open a new office here in Byron. We got a big office in North Sydney. And then we're heading into, we'll go online as well in time, as well as expanding as it allows. So this business has started from literally an idea, and then it was a bit of an experiment in this crappy old back room in Jalal's crappy old practice, and now we have custom built, beautiful practices that are literally fitted out specifically for children. And a lot of kids, like I literally have a patient, or it's a shared patient between me and Izzy, and he has meltdowns like some kids do. And when he does, he says to his mum, "Oh, I just want to go to the Quantum Kid. Please take me to the Quantum Kid." And so that's really a dream come true for me. So I've spent like literally 20 years seeking the truth so that I can get these kids a place where they feel comfortable and where we can harness natural law to treat them and not push against the system all the time, because it doesn't work. That's where relapse is. That's where like braces are. That's where even expanders and stuff, it's all well intentioned, but it pushes the system too hard. In my opinion, because I feel the heads of these kids, and when you feel the head that's not right, you have to, what we do is we literally palpate the child's head and we fit appliances to make sure that their head is and their nervous system is functioning properly. And you can do that with cranial osteopathy. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting.
It's very exciting. It's very cool.
Yeah, and it does. It's a bit challenging. One of our values is to be pioneering. So we maybe some of these things will be that we talk about with mouth breathing will be different views on the whole thing. I'm not probably going to talk about airways and stuff. I'll probably talk about function and how that. So is that enough?
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's great. I think definitely want to, just know more. It's great to even know that. So North Sydney and Byron are your key locations, and mostly focusing on those pediatrics.
So North Sydney will service anything from the south coast right through to sort of mid-north coast. We have people, and here we have sort of Coffs, Bellingen, even Port Macquarie yesterday through to Brisbane. Yeah. So I'm in Byron right now. So we actually capture like a fairly big geography. And no, there's no one in. That we don't have an office in Melbourne. Just for people that wanted to ask that, because someone all inevitably does. Yeah. And no, we don't have one in the USA yet. It's on my radar. But,
that's very exciting. Well, I think we'll get into like some of the sort of maybe a bit more specific questions and just have your take on this, because a lot of these we are trying to focus it in on parent education and just what those early signs are that in the children that might lead you to come to your practice or alike, but so struggling with airway function or muscle imbalance, what are the signs that parents might pick up on, do you think?
Well, parents are pretty savvy these days. Most all parents are watching these, the ones that come to us at least, lots of crunchy mums. So like mums that don't want just necessarily cookie cutter mainstream approach. They want something that resonates more with that natural law thinking. Yeah. But at the same time, that's not to say that's the only people that come in. But generally our mums are fairly savvy with what they're looking for. So those are the things, the biggest one is the telltale signs of when kids are asleep. And, lots of people talk about this, but it's the causation of this that I find more interesting. But that would be your teeth grinding while asleep. That would be your snoring while asleep. It would be the restless sleep, the moving all around, up and down, running hot, taking a long time to get to sleep, waking up multiple times in the night, and nocturnal anuresis, which is a fancy word for bedwetting. They would be the things, and you're immediately going to go, yes, but what about mouth breathing? And I deliberately left that one out, because these other things that we're talking about are signs of neural dysfunction. The mouth breathing is a symptom of that neural dysfunction, but it's not a symptom, it's an actual body being functional. So mouth breathing is actually a functional compensation for neural deficit. Okay. So if we just do something which I really dislike, which is tape the mouth or shove something in there to block the mouth from opening, it's actually like trying to mop up the proverbial sink overflowing,
Yeah.
and you're
I
mopping
talk
up the
about
water.
them being band-aids.
Yeah, they're the band-aids.
Yeah.
So, well, if the function is right, the mouth breathing will cease. So one of the things that gives us a really clear indication that we're winning is if the mouth breathing goes away, it shows us we're winning on the neural level.
Yeah. Yeah. That's excellent. Yeah, well, we have a few questions actually coming
Someone
through.
was told that their infant's skull alignment was in the membranes. I do have a take on that, but I don't know if that's what we want to answer right now.
Yeah,
It's up
there's
to
actually
you.
quite a few questions going through, so
Oh,
I'm
really?
happy
I
to
can only
be.
see one of them at the time.
Yeah.
But if I start to stumble on my words, it's because I'm looking at the questions because I just can't
Yeah.
help it. You know, that digital notification thing.
Yeah.
And
No, so
like
I've got them coming up
being
too. So
being a dude, yeah, but you're female, I'm a bloke. I can only do one thing. So like if I'm talking about something and I see the thing and then I'll forget what the heck I was talking about. I just can't manage two things. But I can talk about that if you want.
yeah, no, definitely.
Because
So
it's a cranial thing.
yeah, and they also mentioned that they had the first osteo appointment for the 4-month-old who, and they picked up a tongue tie, and then they've just this
Ah,
lady just added was told a newborn doesn't have as much skull misalignment, but she said it's in the membranes. Do you have a take on what that means?
I
Yes.
do. But can I put my headphones down for like literally 15 seconds and go grab a skull? Because it's really hard to explain without it.
Sounds
One
good.
sec.
Yeah.
I'll be 1 sec.
Yeah, some great questions coming through. So we'll keep, I might just jump on those instead of the ones we've set out. Here we go. Colourful skull. Perfect.
Righto, we got one. So, who am I talking to?
Health and belliness.
Health and Bellness.
Bellness.
Is it Bell? Maybe
We're
it's
going to go
Bell.
with Bell.
I'm going to call you Bell. Thumbs up if that's right, Bell. So, Bell, there we go. We got it. So, when in cranial osteopathy, we have a premise that there's three essentially fields that we can work in. Okay, so you've got bone, right, which is the harder tissue. And then if we take that frontal bone off the forehead bone carefully, okay, we can see a little bone in here. There it is. Whoops, this one. You see that? You see that little tip there, Bell? If you can see that, that's called it's got a fancy name, which is called the cristagalli of the ethmoid bone, but don't worry about the fancy names. But basically that point is being pulled up by a membrane, okay? And that membrane goes right the way up, and you can even see the indent it makes on the forehead bone. So that's sitting like this. And if we turn it upside down, you can see the line, okay? And then that hangs out of here, okay? That hangs out of here, and then it goes around the back of the skull around here and comes out of that big hole there, okay? And that's called the dura mater. And there's three layers of those membranes. The dura is the big tough one. We won't worry about the other ones because we're just going to confuse ourselves, okay? So it goes out of that big hole, runs all the way down to the sacrum, which is the bottom of the spine. So it's anchored, all right? And so they support the brain. So the brain's supported on waterbeds. I've got a beautiful video, which I can't show you because I wouldn't have no clue how to do that. I don't think it's possible, but of a big stone sitting on waterbeds and the stone spinning. It's a very heavy stone. It would be like 300 kilo stone and it's spinning. And the reason it's spinning is because it's on waterbeds. So the brain sits on waterbeds and suspended by these membranes called the dura mater. Okay. And then within that, we've got fluid fields. So that's liquids, but it's also quantum fluid fields like electrical fields, energetic fields as well. Okay, so we've got bone, we've got membrane, and we've got fluid. So in our palpations, cranial osteopath, we can feel the difference between the bone change, between a membranous change, the membranes, the dura changing, and between a fluid change. And we can customize our treatments to target bone, membrane, or fluid. So what your osteopath is telling you, Belle, is that your newborn has tension in that dural system. So that system that runs from here under the brain all the way down to the pelvis. She's saying that membrane, or he or she is saying that membrane is tighter and more of a priority than even fixing the bone alignment. Okay, so in birth stream we get compression, we get rotations, we get forceps, we get intervention, and that often leads to different changes in the alignment of the skull. But it can also twist those membranes. And what often a baby will have then is a diaphragm that's twisted. In fact, usually this way. So if that diaphragm is twisted on the right side and then compressed on the right side, what's that going to affect? Well, what's right under your rib cage on the left side, my left here, they twist to the left. So that's often the way that as they come out, should do. So that's often the way that they get compressed. And so, yeah, the delivery's fully related to it, Belle. So what happens is that can compress the diaphragm, tighten the diaphragm, and the membranes will hold that tension, and lo and behold, you get reflux, you get colic, right? Because the stomach, the tummy and the guts are getting compressed by the twist in the diaphragm because of the membranous tension. So what your osteopath is telling you is that the priority is not necessarily in the bone alignment, but in the membranous tension. And if you take the membranous tension off that child, you'll probably get a good result in the bone, and then also ideally in the fluid. So some branches of osteopathy work strictly on bone, some work more towards membranes, depending on the practitioner you are, and some branches of osteopathy are way more fluid based. So that's a whole other topic. But that was a good question.
Yeah, incredible. And I think the biggest thing to remember is you must be in good hands and that you're looking for these answers, Belle. I mean, it's a very lucky child that you're onto it so early.
Yeah, you got them at an osteopath at 4 months. That's awesome. Yeah, if everyone follows that guy, Nico Osteo, I can't remember his handle, but search that in. I don't know if you know Nico Kelsea, but he's allowed, because he lives in Malaysia, he's allowed to put like patient videos on Instagram. We're not in Australia. It's actually a really good resource for understanding osteopathy. Nico's a true osteopath. He's an excellent osteopath. And so his content is very accurate. There we go. Johnny's put the handle up at Nikon Osteo. He's got a really big following. He's doing a lot for osteopathy because you can actually see him working directly on babies. It's really cool. He's a great bloke. So, and he's really, really good information. I'm lazy on Instagram.
Me too.
I just don't resonate with it very well. I like doing these. I wish I could do. The Quantum Kid, we do some good informative posts. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we have a few, but just checking time. Lots of questions.
Lots of questions.
Yeah.
What's one of your questions, Kels? Let's do yours, and then we'll do this forward tongue posture and mouth breathing, because that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump into that one. I haven't actually seen that one. So,
well, I don't know. I just see them as they pop up. I guess I have to scroll.
There's a lot
down.
around food intolerances and
people think Belle's crazy in Texas. I love that. Well, you have to move to Austin, Belle, and wouldn't they be better if the Austin people would be more open-minded? Skip Truitt was from Texas.
Lots of good OMTs in Texas.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
I think you might be hanging with the wrong crowd, Belle.
So there was one. Actually, I'm going to mix a few questions together
Yeah, go
Bit
on.
not quite where we were.
You are in Austin. I thought Austin people were crunchy.
Um, is around, there was a lot of like, would you work on gut health and intolerances
Yeah, I saw that one. I
and
was
how
going to,
that fits
yeah.
into what you guys do?
Well, what the question was is, would you work on gut health before working on an overbite?
Mm.
And so that comes down because our topic was breathing, right, originally.
And
But
dysfunction,
we
yeah.
always we always knew it would. There you are. She's got crunchy friends. You're just fine, Belle. Um, we always knew that we'd talk about some breathing stuff and how does breathing relate to the gut. And this is one thing that's really useful for parents. This is a life for parents. And so what we got to do, because a lot of cranial, or all cranial osteopathy is based on the principles of embryology. And the principles of embryology are hard to understand. Just a full disclosure, when I was at uni, first year embryology, I actually failed that topic. And the reason is because the way it's taught at university is very A to B linear, and embryology is not a linear process, it's a quantum process. So you have to understand it as a whole, not as a sum of parts. And the way it's taught at uni is a sum of parts because that's the way uni is, because you have to be able to grade people on that. Okay. That's not to say that that's not to justify me not studying enough, because I didn't. But I was too busy building Mary's website. No. But so embryologically, the lining of the tubes that make up the respiratory system are exactly the same as the tubes that make up the guts. So if we imagine my hands as the embryo and we imagine my fingers as a tubes forming, okay, what happens is this. Some of them they'll pull up into the respo system. So there's my bronchioles, my alveoli, and my the tubes, the higher tubes of the nose and airway, pharynx. And then here is my guts, okay? And so what that means is the respo and the gut come from the same embryological origin, okay? So what we're talking about is not the whole system. I'm talking about the lining of the tubes, okay? So here's the gig. If you've got gut inflammation, which basically most kids do these days because of, you could say it's diet, and we could pick on gluten, and we could pick on dairy, we could pick on sugar, probably more so than those first two. Like if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and you eat a good quality bread, especially like in Europe, you generally won't have problems with it. And that's because here and in the US and Britain for sure, gluten is actually post processing added to flour. And the reason is because the protein's so crap in the wheat because it grows too quickly. And then you can talk about herbicides and all that sort of crap too. But the reason a lot of bread kicks us off is because gluten's retrospectively added to it. I learnt this off a French baker, so it's a reliable source. I had to undertake that study while eating his pastries, Kels. So it was a difficult thing to do, but I got the intel. So basically, our gluten added to everything. It's a foreign protein. It's not natural law, which is why it inflames our guts, mine included. Some are more sensitive than others. Dairy, and then you've got sugar is the biggest one because it feeds dysbiosis. Okay, so if you have some sort of inflammation, dysbiosis in the gut, it will reflex to the respiratory system, and you'll have a snot nose. Okay, so the two are coming from the same spot. So what inflames one will inflame the other. If you inflame the respiratory system, your gut will go out with it as well. So then we go, okay, well, if my kid's got dysbiosis and they've got an overbite, are those two related? And we could say yes, because we think about low tongue posture, blocked noses, inflamed tonsils and adenoids and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I've had a kid, I'm going back a few years, walk in and had all the things. She had the low tongue, the mouth open, the allergic shiners, the noisy breathing, the crooked teeth, the this and all that. But what she did have, bless her, when she walked in, was a really bloated tummy.
Mm.
And I said to Mum, how much has this kid travelled? She said, oh, lots. Why? And I was like, she's picked something up once she's travelling. So long story short, what we did was we worked on her gut and we just gave her a simple mouth guide in the head and we gave her cranial osteopathy at the same time. But we really went into the gut protocol. And I'm telling you, like 6 months later, that child looked completely different. So she had beautiful teeth. She was radiant. Her skin was glowing again. And her tummy was flat.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. And that's a really good example of the gut driving all those things. So she could have done oral myology till the cows come home.
Yeah.
She could have done it forever and she would have got nowhere with it.
Yeah.
Because she had gut inflammation.
That's what I'm finding in practice. And when I talk to people about it, just can't be stock standard because like another overbite, overjet, I might work on that is what needs to happen first. But for that little girl, you just see those signs, the gut needs to be supported first. So
100%.
yeah, that's incredible work. Yeah.
And then you might go down the quantum line and go, well, how healthy are the actual mitochondria? Because the actual, and what mitochondria are, ladies and gentlemen, watching is the energy factories in the cell. Okay. So in quantum health, we look at the cellular level and then the mitochondria within a cell, which aren't actually human. They're not human cells. They're something we've adapted as humans to give us energy production. And so the mitochondria are strongly influenced by light and EMF, okay, heat sources. So right now, if I pick up my phone because I'm doing this thing, it'll be hot, okay? So if I'm a kid watching Instagram lives holding a phone, I'm cooking my mitochondria. I'm making my body have to work hard. So Jack Kruse, if you know him, will tell you that one of the things that are narrowing jaws out is the simple fact it's a functional compensation for a lack of mitochondrial wellness. So that you don't want too much oxygen in the system because the engine literally can't cope with it. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I find it pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So that might be a bit, but what, in a nutshell, what it means is children aren't playing outside in the sunshine, away from screens and away from EMF radiation. And every home's got a bloody Wi-Fi router, sorry for the French, but, and kids are being exposed to non-changing frequencies permanently. So natural law is to be exposed to multiple frequencies, not singular frequencies. So Wi-Fi is a singular frequency that's exposing constantly. So, and then couple that with them being inside constantly with fluoro lights above them on iPads, and being, everyone's paranoid about the sun. So everyone's covered in hats and sunscreen constantly. And so we actually have, in a country, in Australia, that's literally got more sunshine than most places, we have chronic vitamin D deficiency.
Pretty crazy, yes.
It's mad. We literally treated a girl, lovely girl, who had psoriasis all over her, eczema, not psoriasis. And we made her do her computer outside with her feet on the grass, bare feet on the grass, with as much sunshine as she could tolerate. Not in the middle of the day. You've got to be sensible about this. I'm not telling her to go out at 1 p.m. in January and sit in the sun. But outside, if it's sunny in the shade, but feet on the ground, if you're going to do your computer, guess what happened to her eczema? Even the bit that would never heal, healed.
Wow. Yeah.
It's simple. But think about it. Kids are walking around playing outside, covered head to toe in rubber shoes. Like, how are they going to get the frequencies they need? I saw a kid yesterday. Yeah, he's got this and that, but he actually has a massive, what we call superior vertical strain. But I said to him, Mum, this kid's quantum already. Like, look at his skin. He's brown, he's barefoot, he's healthy, his tissues are vibrant, they're active. She said, yeah, that's because we live in a caravan on land. He just runs around outside all day. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a shift. We've recently bought a home with a backyard, and we've been living in an apartment for the first 2 years of my daughter's life just because of circumstance. And yeah, the change in her just overall, I don't know how to explain it. There's nothing specific that I would pick up right now, but just so overall, everything is just different and more vibrant. And it's really like the stress was worth it.
You've changed her frequency.
Skip that backyard.
Too bad for you too. You've taken on a bigger mortgage, but you've changed the kids' frequency. And that's
Exactly,
good.
yeah.
That's
It's
good.
worth it.
There's lots of questions about munchies, Kels.
There is, which I thought, obviously, we haven't touched on much around that, but to wrap us up, because I do think we need to wrap up today. I won't keep you forever, Cole. I could.
It's all right. I've got a lunch now, so we can talk.
Yeah. Well,
you probably got to go.
I do have to get back to my little girl. Today's not my work day anymore, but I will always do these on Fridays. But what practical steps do you recommend at home to get families maybe even just started on this journey?
Yeah.
And then so that would be maybe just like 3 key steps that what are the first steps they could do?
Well, let's do it in this way. If there's 3, let's do morning, lunch, and bedtime. How about we do that?
Yep.
So what would I do in the morning to get them started on this journey? Okay, one thing is get them up, get sunlight as early as possible into their room. So wake them up with sunlight. If it's not cold, have the window open so they get the fresh air and the sun. Okay, that would be number 1. Number 2 would be if it's not freezing cold, it depends where you live. If it's the right appropriate season, have their breakfast sitting outside, okay, preferably exposed to some AM sunlight. The third thing is, what are they eating for breakfast? So one of the biggest things, like we always have an intake form, tell me what you're eating. So it saves us having to ask the question. And a lot of mums and dads will write Wheat Bix for breakfast. And so we say, all right, you've got to stop the Wheat Bix. What's wrong with Wheat Bix? Well, everything's wrong with Wheat Bix. We don't have time to go into it, Kels, because you're going to get going. But I'm just going to tell you that everything is wrong with Wheat Bix, okay? So and some foods like that, get them. There's no way anyone should be having that in the morning, okay? What your body needs in the morning is nourishing nutrition, okay? So you need something that's got vegetables in it, maybe some fruits if they won't eat vegetables, ideally a little bit of protein, and maybe some sort of non-inflammatory carbs if you want some, okay? So this idea of having Wheat Bix toast and juice is like just dropping a bomb into your guts in the morning. So AM sun, wake up with the morning sun, have breakfast outside if it's appropriate, and have a really nourishing breakfast, okay? So that's the morning. And at lunchtime, what are we going to do? Well, lunchtime, ideally, see, the Europeans have it right. You actually want some rest, okay? So just some sitting, some quiet time, something nourishing as well, and even a nourishing activity that's quiet, like drawing, like reading, that sort of stuff, okay? And then you get going, you have your afternoon activity, and then at night is one of the big things at night. I was round at my friend's place the other night, and he's a beautiful guy, beautiful family. They have a 4-year-old. The 4-year-old's real jacked up. She's real energetic naturally, but we also had really bright overhead lights and a giant TV pumping away, and lots of sort of stimulating toys pumping away. So I'm going to work with him a bit to help his daughter calm at night, because she takes a long time to go to sleep, and that's why. So when it gets dark, natural law says we're supposed to get dark. So that darkness actually triggers the release of the melatonin. But guess what? The morning light triggers the production of melatonin. Isn't that cool? So why I'm saying morning light is because it tells the brain you better make some melatonin for the nighttime. But if it doesn't get dark at night, it never says release the damn melatonin that you made in the morning. Okay,
Yeah.
so when it gets dark, we want the house to be dark. I'm not talking pitch black so that you fall over and get a cut on your head and have to see the cranial osteopath, but use low-level blockbluelight.com.au, no affiliation, they just sell good stuff. Get the red light bulbs, okay, the dim orange lamps, not the big bright overhead LEDs, okay? You want dimmest possible light that you're willing to put up with, because that triggers the child to release melatonin and get sleepy. No screens at night time, okay? So once it's dark, you shouldn't be watching screens, okay? And everyone will go, yeah, but what about Bluey and whatever? But too bad, okay? What about the homework? And it's on the iPad. It's on the iPad. You wear blue blocking glasses. If you're going to have to watch the screen, you get the glasses, they're orange, you put them on your kids when they're watching the screen. Otherwise, you screw their sleep. And we all know that sleep grows and repairs, okay? So that's the nighttime routine. The morning, what you can do is get up with the sun, be exposed to the sun, get on that ground, feet on the ground. Lunchtime, take it easy. Nighttime, bedtime, allow it to get dark, okay? And if you want to throw in your breathing homework and stuff like that, you'll do that at the night time as well, okay? The website is Block Blue Light in Australia, at least blockbluelight.com.au, okay? Someone asked what that website was. So that means that the natural circadian cycle, morning, midday, and nighttime, will be preserved, and the hormone profile will be preserved. So one of the big drivers for all these dysfunctions is actually that cycle going haywire, okay? So that's funny. I'm not recommending breathing exercises or even myology or tongue up or even Munchee, but you got to buy it. You got to buy a Munchee. But I'm recommending going back to natural law. So that unlocks nature's blueprint for happier, healthier kids. We come right back full circle to what's printed on the front door at Quantum Kid, and you can start to see how that melds and interacts with natural law, and natural law facilitates natural growth. Okay, and one of the reasons we're seeing all this aberrant growth is us as humans in our wisdom, or our supposed wisdom or our supposed intelligence, we've forgot the principles of natural law. We just forgot, because tech's more important, AI is more important. Screw AI. I like HI, high, human intelligence. Don't give me an AI. I want human. Yeah.
Yeah. No, incredible. I think that's a really nice place to pause.
It's a punctuation spot, isn't it?
Yeah. No, but thank you so much for your time. We might have to do another one where we talk more about Munchee and how it fits into your practice.
I'll just tell you real quick, because this is a Munchee thing, and Munchee facilitates natural law, because chewing is natural law. So chewing actually facilitates a whole bunch of neural change. It's not just structural. It's not just about palates. It's about nerves. And the nerves are what drives the function, right? So the Munchee is actually in harmony with natural law, which is why A, we use it in Quantum Kid, and B, I'll promote it to anyone who will listen.
Yeah, definitely. And there is the code CHEW. If you comment that or send us a message with CHEW, because you will get that Why Kids Must Chew and handout, which is actually a resource, which is all about that, just what you touched on. So that's, great. So
that's what Mary's talked about for years, and her dad before that, was that chewing's a normal function, and it's been deleted because of soft food. So it's like, chewing has to come back. So does like sunlight and circadian rhythm, and so does that, and so does good breathing, and so does good neural function and good cranial alignment. You know, it's not that hard actually. It's actually really easy. It's just that like modern life has made it hard, and our kids are suffering for it. You know, I suffered as a kid, and I didn't have the stimulus that we have nowadays. I mean, I can't imagine this day and age. My kids have never had a TV in their house. That's pretty radical, isn't it? My son's 15. He's never had a TV in the house.
That's very impressive. Yeah,
and it makes a difference. People, I'm not doing this with a big head, but people will say, "Oh, your kids are different. Like they're really like chill." Like, I'm convinced that the screen piece and the internet piece and the phone piece is like a major, more of a major contribution to all this dysfunction than a lack of
Probably ever known.
palate expanders. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Fair. Yes. No, well, I will thank you for your time. It was amazing to chat and catch up, and such great discussion in the comments. So thank you everyone that did join the discussion today. I think
Yeah.
we,
Sorry we didn't get to touch on every single thing, but I
yeah,
think the ones that we did were beneficial.
yeah, they were, and you covered a lot when you were responding, so that was amazing. So thank you, and hopefully we'll be back on next month with another topic and a few bit more amazing discussion. So have a great day.
Sweet. Bring
Thanks
it
again,
on.
Cole.
No worries. Thanks, Kels. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Bye.